Hey everyone, I'm ThePackle, and this is a very quick tutorial on a new piece of technology that I found, simply called pivoting. Pivoting I use a few times during my Tony Hawk speedruns, and it is incredibly powerful and makes things a lot easier in some cases. And well, this is just a tutorial to showcase how it works, because I know there's a couple people who watch me in a casual sense and are just trying to, 100% the game or could get all the achievements. So hopefully this helps you out on your journey, at least a little bit. Before we start, ground rules. Pivoting is work two different ways. There's pivoting in combos like this. If you have a bunch of points already, this is a good way to get a bunch of multipliers in. And the only issue is that sometimes when you're doing this, it can lock your inputs. That's the only issue with them. But I'm not really so much talking about that part of pivoting. I'm talking about this pivoting, where like you are jumping. As soon as you hit the ground, you hit the right trigger or R2, and you do like a little pivot revert type of thing. The thing about pivoting in this sense is that, as you saw, I gradually lost speed. You'll see like I'm slowly losing speed, and I get to my last one that I almost lost all my speed. It's not apparent on the first one. Like in the first one, you don't have to worry about it, but on the later ones, it will matter. And let's say you get into a fourth pivot, 2, 3, 4. You see I have like no speed whatsoever. But if I go into another pivot, I have like absolutely no speed, and I'm pretty much going to end my combo there. Because, well, I'm not going to be able to extend it. So you need to keep that in mind. Most, you should keep it at 3. 3 is pretty safe. 2 is better, obviously, because you still have speed for whatever you're doing. 1 works in most cases as well, but it just depends. Sometimes you have to course correct, and you might have to do some pivots, but as well. So let's give an example of how this breaks goals and gaps as a whole in this game. There is one gap that goes all the way around the cul-de-sac, just called around the sack. You start on this curb or this curb, and you go all the way around and connect it, and boom, you get the gap. You don't have to do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grind this curb. I'm going to jump out, pivot, and incredibly quickly grind onto this curb, jump, and then get on this curb, and it should give me the gap. Granted, so you see like there's a little bit of like a buffer where I can like jump out of it. If the animation ends and I have no other moves, such as a manual, then it's not going to work. And the thing about pivots is that this breaks the rules of the game because it doesn't account for the pivots at all. It counts for manuals and stuff like that. So like if I try doing, this gap and going into a manual, as you can see, I didn't get it. But if I do this with a pivot, I overshot the gap trigger. 1 second, let's try this again. Like that. You'll see that I got the gap around the sack pretty easily. I didn't have to go all the way around, and it saves a good chunk of time if you just need that gap specifically. So it takes a little bit of practice to understand how it works. Like right there, I almost didn't have enough. I didn't almost ran out of time. But let's say I completely messed it up, right? Like that. I completely just ran out of time on the animation. I was not in position, and I'm going to mess up the gap. It's either just a reset in this case and just try again. Because going for 2 pivots, you can do it. You can even do it 3, but it's kind of annoying. Pivots also can be used in different other gaps as well, not just this one. Pivots can make gaps easier. It can also, shorten gaps like this one. Let's take this gap. So this gap right here is the holy gap. You go right here, you start on this ledge, and go all the way around Suburbia, and you stop. You pretty much hit here, and then you get the holy gap. I do it in the 100% speed run because I need it. I'm right here anyways after around the sack and after getting sick challenge for this grind spot challenge. And, well, it's kind of annoying. And the rule about this one is you can only grind. If you do any manual, it will not count. Like so. So you see right here, I'm going to do a manual, and then I'm going to try doing this. You'll notice that won't work. I'm just going to focus here just so I can easily get to the end of the gap. But as soon as I hit this, nothing happens because the rules of the gap is you can only grind. But And instead of manuing there, what if I pivoted? So right here, I'm going to pivot, jump out, and go straight into focus, and just so I can get the gap easily. But you'll notice once I hit that one ledge at the very end of this that I will get the gap with the pivot instead of the manual. Like so. See? Easy. So pivoting is not accounted for some reason in this game when it comes to, you know, making sure that you're not doing a manual or whatever. It's like they only checked for manuals or getting off your board with caveman or whatever. They didn't check for pivots. But it's also good if you messed up a gap and you really don't want to try it again and you're like, fuck it, let's see if I can recover. Like so. So you see right there, I missed the jump, but since I went to pivot straight back into a grind, I'm going to pivot right here again, I will be able to get the gap. All because I messed it up is not the end of the world. If you're very quick, you should be able to just do a quick pivot, get back into things. So right here, see, easy. So it's a good way to also fix yourself if you're having issues. And it's a lifesaver in some cases. You'll see that I'll mess up this gap a lot, especially with rail hopping all the way around back there. Making that jump between both your backyard and the rich backyard is kind of finicky sometimes. So that makes it a lot easier. Let's take another example. Let's go to this grind spot challenge. This grind spot challenge is you start here and you go all the way around here, hit that, go all the way to the pro spot challenge or this pro marker. Then you would go all the way over here through the planters and get to this sick marker. And that's what you need. This sick marker is associated with that goal. So there's a couple ways you could do that. The biggest one is just, you know, dropping down onto the planters, or you can use the wires above. So why would I make this easy? You don't have to do it. You don't have to do most of that. You just have to go over here, stall, then pivot once, jump out, pivot again, and just like that. And I get a pro marker, and like that, and then jump right here. Easy, easy, done. You know, maybe like, what the fuck just happened? Well, I can explain it, but I'm just break it down. So I do rail hopped up here. Rail hopping is simply just, so this is ThePackle. I'm just going to make this real quick about how rail hopping works. If you guys want a separate video on it, discussing it, let me know in the comments. But essentially how rail hopping works is that when you're holding down the grind button, if you ollie, then, well, you rail hop. It's very good for going up hills or, you know, jumping and keeping your speed up. The biggest difference between this game and the other games is that if you rail hop in the other games, you will eventually just straight up bail. In this game, there is no such penalty, and you can just rail hop to your heart's content. The only issue is that your balance meter will still get messed up in the end if you're not careful. But anyways, what I'll do is as soon as I get around to this corner, usually around right here, I will jump. Then I will hit right trigger, or R2, and Y. That will put you into a stall like right here. Then I will jump backwards, and you don't want to pivot. If you did it right, you don't have to pivot right here. If you did that, that's bad because you don't have enough pivots to complete this. Because you need 3 pivots for this trick. So you stall right here, you jump backwards, hopefully grind on this, jump, grind on this, jump. You would pivot once, then jump into a grinder here. Then you get to about here, jump left, pivot, jump out, pivot, jump out into a grind, and continue onwards like you would normally. Like so. Pivot, jump out, pivot, like that. Simply, very simple, very clean, and you'll see me do this a lot. It saves a bit of time in the speed run, and it makes it a lot easier because, well, I don't have to go all the way around the courtyard. And that's, if you notice in this game, sometimes your grind balance meter is jank, so this makes it a lot easier and makes that a lot more doable. Just putting a speed run, put it into a perspective. When I did speed runs of this, and I did it normally, I usually had to focus around the pro marker. Now I don't have to focus anymore, so that saves a lot of time in the speed run. So that's, you know, a powerful example. But let's talk about not this one because that doesn't really apply there. Let's talk about probably one of the hardest goals in the game, especially for casual players. Speedrunners, it used to be annoying. but I discovered a couple. I haven't really discovered. The original idea was found on GameFAQs a long time ago using just rails and stalls. He did a video on my YouTube channel that shows off how it works. But with pivots, I discovered a new way. So this one, how it usually works is if you want to do it legitimately, which I do not recommend, is that in factory there's a rail that jumps out of the window. You would acid drop onto that bowl right there, and then you would boneless out here and go straight into another trick and pray that you make it up there. It's kind of annoying, and I don't really recommend it. So what if I told you that you can just do pivots? So what I'm going to do is, I'm not going to get any speed. I'm just going to boneless out, pivot, hit on this rail or this curb. Either way, I need to get on this curb. Then I will go all the way around here. Then I will, once I get about down the hill, I'll jump out, pivot, and try to quickly orient myself with down left onto this curb, and then get up here onto this barrier and just go up the wall and make it to the sick marker. As you can see, very clean, very simple. And jump out right there to the right, and boom, sick. And it makes it infinitely easier and infinitely just, you know, I don't have to worry about a stupid jump that was never tested. So that is one way you can do it. Of course, there's a video on my channel if you want to do it like with grinding, or if you want to do it legitimately if you're a madman. Either way. But I'm just showing you examples of how powerful pivoting is as a whole. It also works for other gaps as well, not just that cul-de-sac gap. Right here, like, you know, do this rail to rail. So if you do a manual like this, it won't work. But if you do pivot, then jump out, get rail to rail. Same works for if you want to go onto this one. If you go into a manual, you obviously won't make that. But if you do a pivot and jump out into it, it's easier. You can make it still. Like that. See? Pretty simple, pretty easy. One more example, just to show how powerful they are, just so you get the idea. There is this one. If you do this perfectly in a speed run, it saves around 5 to 6 seconds, and it's hard. It's kind of annoying. So for this gap, what I'm going to do is, for this goal rather, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start it, go all the way around, go to the AM. As soon as I jump out, I'm going to stall, then jump backwards, hit and grind this, then grind up here, grind up a good little bit, jump, stall, backwards, hit pro, and I do it again, do it for sick. If you do it right, it saves a good chunk of time in the speed run, and it looks cool, but it's kind of difficult. Sometimes I have to focus this one. So just an example. So stall out, jump out, pivot, like that. And I'll do it again right here with pro. Stall, pivot, jump out, grind here, stall, and like that. So it saves a good chunk of time in the speed run. I don't have to go all the way around. I still get the gap. That's important. But, you know, that looks a bit cooler, and it's a bit more technical. But that just shows, again, another example of how powerful they are. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys learned something new about this game. This game is broken in a lot of aspects. Yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to comment below. I will try to look at the comments. If you really want to poke my brain, because I've been playing this game for years and years and years, probably for longer than most people have. Like, I have like 9 years in this game. That's what I'm trying to say. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me in any speedrun live streams I do. Still plan on doing 100%, as of this video at least. So if you have any questions, just feel free to let me know. If you have any questions about the speedrun as well, or you have any recommendations about what type of videos I could cover, just so everyone can learn more, feel free to put down in the comments below as well. But anyways, thank you guys very much for watching, and I will see you guys next time.